Hello, this is Mrs. Brown, and today we're talking about literal equations. Now, literal equations are just equations that have more than one variable in it. So, for instance, this is a formula, the distance equals rate times time formula. So this is a literal equation because there's more than one variable. Okay, this has both an x and y, so therefore it's a literal equation because there's more than one variable. So what we're going to be practicing today is solving for one variable that's given. So in this case, I'm going to be solving for r. It's the same procedures you use whenever you're solving any equations like you're used to. It's just now it's not going to come down to a single number as your answer. You're going to have variables left in your answer. So instead of like actually adding 3 to both sides, you might be adding x to both sides, and so you can't actually add it with a constant, and so we'll be looking at some of those situations. All right, so let's say I wanted to solve this for r. Well, right now it's d equals r times t. Well, how do I get rid of multiplication? If I had given you the formula and said that r times 4, well, you would say the opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. So you just divide by 4, that would go away, and r would be by itself. This is the same procedure. How do I get rid of multiplication? I divide. So I want r by itself, so I got to get rid of a t. How do I get rid of a t? I divide by t. T divided by t is 1, because any number divided by itself is 1. So I have r all by itself. And then I say to myself, well, can I actually do d divided by t? I can't, so I just leave it. So r, the rate, equals distance divided by time. And I'm done. Okay? I can't do anything else. So let's take a look at this one. I want to solve for y. So if I were doing a problem like I had negative 3y plus 2 equals 11, and I wanted to solve it, I would get rid of this first, the plus thing or the minus thing if it was a minus thing, and then I'd divide by negative 3. I'm going to do the same procedure. I want this. I want to get y by itself. I've got a minus here, so I'm looking at getting rid of a 2x. Well, how do I move 2x to the other side? Well, right now this is a positive 2x, so I'm going to subtract 2x. Okay. Well, 11 and 2x are not like terms, so I can't actually subtract them, so I don't. I leave it as negative 3y. Don't forget that minus is attached to that 3. You can't just like make it disappear. That's a common mistake. And it looks like that. Well, now I'm still trying to get y by itself. What do? This is negative 3 times y. What's the opposite of multiplying by y? Or multiplying by negative 3 is dividing by negative 3. When you divide by negative 3, every term needs to be divided by negative 3. You can't just do this and this, or this and this. Every single one. Terms, remember, are separated by addition and subtraction signs. I'm going to show you an alternative in a minute, but again, it has to be every single term. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, and 1 times 1 is, or 1 times y is y. This is not divisible by 3, so I'm not going to divide it. I'm just going to leave it. Okay. 2 is not divisible by 3, but I've got a minus and a negative, and so that's like that double negative, and when I'm dividing is going to cancel, so I'm going to turn that into a plus. And that's my final answer. Now, notice how I divided each of these separately. You could divide them all at once. So if I go back to this step, okay, remember if I divide this side by negative 3, I divide this side by negative 3. So I could have shown it as I divided this whole side by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, and 1 times y is y. And then I just leave this as one big fraction. Remember, fractions are grouping symbols, so it means I have to do the numerator before I divide by negative 3, which means both of these things are divided by negative 3, just like it up here. So either this or this is the correct answer. So let's take a look at another example. So let's say I wanted to solve for y again. Okay, so if I've got negative 2x plus 5y equals 10. Okay? If I want to solve this, again, I've got to get rid of the plus part before I get rid of the number that's multiplied with y. So if I look, I've got a minus 2x. To move it to the other side, I'm going to do the opposite of minus 2x. I want its inverse, which would be adding. Okay, negative 2x plus 2x is nothing. I've got 5 times mystery number equals. Now, 10 is a constant. It doesn't have a variable with it. So it's just plain old 10. I can't combine it with 2x because they're not like terms. So I don't do it. I just leave it. Okay. Once I'm there, the opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. Remember, every single thing has to be divisible by 5. So this and this. Okay, 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times y is y. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And then 2/5 doesn't divide evenly, so I'm just going to leave it as 2/5. Okay. Alternately, I could have divided the whole side by 5, like I showed you in the previous one, but that's that process. I'm moving the 2x over, the minus 2x over, and then dividing by the number multiplied by y. Let's look at another example. Okay, this time I'm going to solve for h. So let's say I have the area formula for a triangle. I want to get rid of a half, and I want to keep the b. Okay, so I can do this in 1 step or 2 steps. So let's look at 2 steps first, and then I'll show you how to do it in 1 step. So this is all times. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So I want to divide by 1/2. Well, when I divide by 1/2, let's say I had 3/4 divided by 1/2. What I would do in most cases is change it to multiplication and multiply by the reciprocal. So I'd flip the fraction over. So when I'm dividing by 1/2 in a fraction, instead of showing all of this work, I'm going to skip straight to multiplying by the reciprocal. So what I would do is multiply by 2/1 here and multiply by 2, and then 2/2 are going to cancel out. And so I've got 2 times a equals b times h, and the opposite of multiplying by b is dividing by b. So I end up with h equals 2 times a over b. Okay. Now, I said you could do this in 1 step, so let's look at the difference. Okay. When I'm looking at this, this is like in the denominator, but if you think about it, my b and h are kind of like in the numerator, right? Because they're not 1 over b and h, they're on the top. So I could actually get rid of everything in 1 step that I want to get rid of. Because if I want to get rid of this, I need the 2 in the numerator, so it cancels the denominator. And the b right now is in the numerator, and I want it in the denominator to cancel the numerator. And so I just multiply by 2 over b. Okay, so that becomes 2 times a over b times 1 is b equals h, which is the same thing that I just got. So I can do it in 1 step, or I can do it in 2, whatever I'm more comfortable with. I hope this helps, and have a great day.